Hello everyone, in today's video we are going to look at XLOOKUP function in Microsoft Excel. We will look at XLOOKUP function starting from the basics up to advanced level. XLOOKUP function is really a powerful function inside Microsoft 365. Currently it exists only in Microsoft 365, but we hope that it would be placed inside a desktop version as well. If you ask me what is the most powerful function inside Microsoft Excel, I would say it is XLOOKUP function. Actually, XLOOKUP function has replaced so many functions like hlookup function, Vlookup function, index match, smart Vlookup function, and many more, which you can see on your screen. Let me demonstrate a difference between Vlookup function and XLOOKUP function using an example. In this particular table, we have to look for cell value of a particular ID using Vlookup function. Let me show you. Is equal Vlookup, lookup value. So this is going to be our lookup value, comma, table array. So this is the table array, comma, column index. Where does this cell value exist? It exists in fourth column. So we'll put 4. And rest of the parameters are just optional, so close the bracket and enter. Let's put in some ID. I'm gonna put 10, enter, and there you go. The ID 10, its cell value is 40 over here. Let me do exactly the same thing using XLOOKUP function. Is equal XLOOKUP, lookup value. This is our lookup value, comma, lookup array. Where does this lookup value exist? It exists in this particular column or array. Have you noticed? We are not going to select the entire table. It's just the column that needs to be selected, comma, return array. When it has spotted the ID over here, where from should it return the value? And that is going to be this particular column. Now close the bracket, enter, and let's put in 10 over here just for comparison, enter, and there you go. You might be thinking, if they are doing the same function and job, what's the value of XLOOKUP function? Let me demonstrate this by inserting a column right over here. Right click, insert, column, and there you go. You can see as soon as we have inserted this particular column over here, the cell value has changed. In case where we have used Vlookup function, but at the bottom where we have used XLOOKUP function, everything is okay. What is the reason that the value over here got changed? The fault lies over here, 4. Actually, Vlookup function look at the column number wise. Before the insertion of this particular column, the fourth column was this cell value. Since it is at a 5th position right now and 4th position is that of a date, so it's returning us a date value. It just doesn't ignore this blank column. While over here, it's pretty simple. It's not looking at the blank column. I hope you have got the difference between Vlookup function and XLOOKUP function through this example. Let me demonstrate one more example over here. This time we'll look up for the items and see its cell value over here. Let's put in is equal XLOOKUP, lookup value. This is our lookup value, comma, lookup array, where it has to look for this value in this particular column, comma, return array, where from it should return the value. So this is going to be the column which would return us the value, comma. Now we are entering into optional parameters, and the first one is if not found. We can put in a text of our own. Let me put in using double quotes, not found, close, enter, and let's put in books over here, enter, and there you go, books, and the cell value is 40. If you change it to, let's say, beds, enter, not found, because beds are not listed in the item section over here. If you are using Vlookup function, then you would require to use if error formula as well, just to pull out a customized message like this. Let us see a few more examples. One more beauty of Xlookup function is this: it can go from left to right or right to left just to pull out the desired value. Let me show you. Is equal Xlookup, lookup value, comma, where should it find this particular value? Over here in this particular column, comma, and return us value from this particular column. Close the bracket, enter. Let's put in a date over here, and I'm gonna choose this particular date. Control C, Control V, enter, and there you see books. If you change the date, it would give you item against that particular date. This means that Xlookup function can go from left to right or right to left to pull out a particular value that you are searching for. Let's look at a few more examples. Using the Xlookup function, we can look at all the data in a data set. For example, using an ID, we can find the item, date, sale 1 and sale 2. If you would have used the Vlookup function, it would have been used at least 3 times over here just to do the same function which you could do with Xlookup function just one time. Let me show you. Is equal Xlookup, lookup value. So ID is going to be our lookup value, comma, lookup array. This is going to be our lookup array, comma, return array. This entire table is our return array. Enter. Let's put in some value over here. I'm gonna put 10, enter, and there you see it has returned us everything against this ID. If you change the ID, it would pull out the data for that ID. 11, and there it is. If you look at this table, you can see we have sale 1 value and sale 2 value over here. If you want the sum of these 2 values against these IDs, you can do the same with Xlookup function. Let me demonstrate this. Is equal Xlookup, lookup value ID, comma, lookup array. This is going to be our lookup array, comma, return array. So this is the first array plus this is going to be the second array, bracket close, enter. Let's put in an ID 10, enter, and there you go. It has actually summed up the data from sale 1 and sale 2 and gave you the sum of the data. Just change it, 13, enter, and you can compare it over here. Let's look at a few more examples. Xlookup function not only gives you the exact match, but it can also pull out approximate match as well. Let me demonstrate it. Is equal Xlookup, lookup value, comma, lookup array. ID has to be searched over here, comma, return array. So these are going to be our return array, that is the entire table apart from IDs, bracket close, enter. Let's put in some value over here. I'm gonna put 10, enter, and there it is. Let's put in a value like 13, which actually doesn't exist in this table. It would give error, and there you see it says not available. After seeing that it doesn't return you a value for an ID that doesn't exist in the table, you just want that it should give the nearest smaller value with regard to this particular ID. How you can do that? Let me show you. Remove the bracket, comma, if not found. We are not going to insert any text, so I'll put one more comma to ignore it. Now we are into the match mode. I'll put -1 and close the bracket, enter, and there you go, 13. There isn't any ID with this particular number, but still it has pulled out a data for you. Why? Because -1 actually look for the data over here. If it doesn't found the data, then it goes to next smaller value. So it has actually looked over here at 15. It wasn't there. It went to 12, which although exists here, it went to 12, but in between 15 and since 13 is smaller than 15, so it has pulled out this particular data for you. By default, XLOOKUP function gives you the next larger value. Let me demonstrate that as well. If you remove this negative sign, enter, and this time you can see it has given us the laptops, which means 13 should have existed over here, and the next larger value is going to be this laptop, that is 15 IDs. Actually, the purpose of this little example was to show you how you can use this function to pull out nearest matches, which may be smaller or larger. Let's look at this particular example. Normally what XLOOKUP does, it searches a particular table from top to bottom, but you can make it search a table from bottom to top as well. And this is what I'm going to show you. Is equal XLOOKUP lookup value. So this is our lookup value, comma, lookup array. Where should it look up for this particular value? In the items, comma, return array. It should pull out the data from this cell column, bracket close and enter. Let's put in books, enter, and there you go. You can see it has pulled out the data from ID 10, giving you this particular value. But if you look closely, you can see we have books at ID 24 as well, and its cell value is 34. This means XLOOKUP function has actually searched the data from top to bottom and immediately pulled out the data as it has found. Now you are interested to make XLOOKUP function search this particular table from bottom to top just to bring out your desired value. Let me show you how you can do that. Just remove the bracket, comma. If not found, ignore it. Just put in one more comma, comma, match mode. We have already done that, so one more comma. Now we are at search mode. Over here you can insert -1. If you put in +1, it would search as it does by default. Since we have to go from bottom to top, so minus sign has to be added before 1. Close the bracket and enter, and there you go. You can see it has brought out the data from the bottom. This XLOOKUP function can be used in place of hlookup function as well, and I'm gonna demonstrate this over here. You know, hlookup function actually look at the data horizontally and pull out the data from a particular row. Let's see. So is equal XLOOKUP lookup value. So this cell value is going to be our lookup value, comma, lookup array. Where does this exist? It exists in this particular row, comma, return array. Since we have already inserted a particular ID over here, it must be noted that an ID must be placed before using this particular functions. I'll select this particular row where ID 15 exists. Close the bracket, enter, and you can see it has brought out the cell value for 15 ID, which is 56. If you change the cell to item, it would give you the item for 15 ID. Similarly, you can change it to date, and there you go. It has returned a date in a different format. You can right click, number format. From here you can insert a date. Let me insert this one. Okay, and there you can see. Let's look at another example. XLOOKUP function can also be used as a two-way lookup function as well. We can also use offset formula for this particular task as well, but XLOOKUP function does it quite nicely without too much complications. Let me demonstrate. Two-way lookup means it actually look at the data horizontally as well as vertically to find out your desired value. Let me put in is equal XLOOKUp lookup value. This is going to be our ID, comma, lookup array. Where does this exist? Over here, comma, return array, and this is our return array. Now just select the entire formula without is equal sign and cut it out by pressing Ctrl X. Now let's use the same formula for the months as well. So I'll put XLOOKUP, VLOOKUP value. This month is going to be our lookup value, comma, lookup array. Where should it find this month? So it would go right over here to find it out, comma, and let's put in the formula that we have just cut by pressing Ctrl V and close the bracket. Again insert one more parenthesis as we have used XLOOKUP twice. Enter, and there you go. Now you can change the ID as well as the month to find out the value. Let me show you. I'm gonna change it to August. Enter, and there you go. Let's change the ID. I'm gonna put 30. Enter, and there you go. I hope you have got the point how we can use two-way lookup function just using XLOOKUP function. This doesn't mean that we are using lookup function. We are using XLOOKUP function doing the same job as two-way lookup function do. Now let me show you how we can use multiple lookup over here. Is equal XLOOKUP lookup value. So ID is going to be our first lookup value. Now we'll put just ampersand sign to connect the second lookup value, and second lookup value is name. Now use comma, lookup array. This is going to be our lookup array. Again ampersand sign. You can use ampersand sign multiple times if you have to use more than two lookup function simultaneously. Again comma, return array. So this is going to be our return array. Close the bracket, enter, and there you go. So XLOOKUP function in this particular case has looked at the data from ID, then from the name, and then pulled out the data from the price column. Let me change it to 1. Enter, and there you can see it has brought up the data from this particular row. I hope you have found this tutorial useful. Please do consider subscribing, and thanks for watching.